Hello YouTube, this is yet another reference video. This video is about one of the undeniable indicators called the aim snap onto. The best way to describe the aim snap onto is as follows. It is very unnatural, mechanical, and linear in nature. When this happens, it generally looks like there's a frame missing, when in all actuality the movement was so abrupt that the movement can only be visibly seen or observed on a high frame rate monitor. I would suggest that you reference back to my Identifying Streamers That Are Cheaters video. Given the abrasive nature of the aim snap onto, its behavior is more easily identifiable at 60 frames per second due to how fast and inhuman the movement is. In order to be considered an aim snap onto, the following criteria need to be met. The player's aim leading up to the snap must appear fluid and human in nature. When the snap occurs, it must be visibly seen in 1 to 2 frames, although I have observed an instance where it occurred in 3 frames. When the snap happens, the movement of the snap must not match the movement in the frames prior. The snap movement must be perfectly linear in nature and appear mechanical to a degree that of which is inhumanly possible. Things to take into consideration when observing an aim snap onto is that it usually happens so fast that oftentimes no one thinks about it. Most people think it's just a missing frame, maybe a glitch in the stream, etc. However, it is none of these. Rather, it is the hijacking of a player's aim when all criteria for their aimbot have been met, at which point the aimbot rips control from the player to magnetize it to the location specified on any enemy player. There are many things that can lead up to an aim snap onto. To my knowledge, given the situation in play, this is completely unavoidable. And then we'll show one such situation that happened to one unlucky streamer. For those who say that this is some form of clip manipulation or steam compression issue, are sadly mistaken. This behavior has been observed only when using an aimbot application, and these proclaimed missing frames only happen in less than 0.1% of streamers' vids, and oddly just before their aim lands on an enemy opponent. So let's move on to some examples. Alright, so let's take a look at the first one here. Again, these are from a series of aimbot adverts, and they all have these glaring issues in them. But I mean, if you want to sell your product that way, that's fine. I mean, you can't fix it. These are things that can't be fixed. And I don't want to explain too much why, but the aim snap onto and off of can't be fixed. Before I advance too much further, so there's 3 criteria that have to be met. So on some of these, you can see a box around a player, and the box could be colored different colors to indicate can you see the player or not. So if somebody isn't using the aimbot, but they're using walls, it'll let them know, hey, you can see this player or you can't. So the aimbot application needs to know if it can see the player. The next thing it needs to know if they have the skeleton turned on or not. Can it attach to or affix your aim to the location you've specified, center, chest, head, whichever. So can it be seen? Can it affix to the location you've specified? The third one is, and it's not in these first few clips, there's a field of view setting, not the in-game field of view between 120 and 60, but the field of view that's set around the player's aim. And it's a fixed size. So can you see the player? Is the skeleton area that you specified for me to lock onto visible, and are they within your field of view? Once all 3 of those are met, it'll establish a lock, and in some situations are unavoidable and you can't get around it. Sorry, my throat is just rough. I had to talk a lot today to somebody, so kind of in regards to this, so no spoils. Alright, so here we see a player come around a corner. Their aim's not on them yet. Their aim's right here still. They come over and they get within the field of view, and the movement leading up to it looks human, looks smooth. All of a sudden, in 1 frame, bam, it doesn't look human. It's a quick snap. Last one frame, very linear in motion. It doesn't look anything like the frames before. Let's move to the next one. Same thing here. So squat down. As soon as that enemy gets right in the field of view, bam. It looks nothing like the movement before. Alright, we'll go on to the next one. Alright, so in this one, there's an animation as well as a snap. So this is one of the things where you have to pay attention to make sure you don't make any false accusations. You need to make sure that when you go through and you call somebody out, you need to make sure you have a large group of these videos. I mean, ironclad. So when I do these call outs, I'm gonna have some fun with these individuals. So anyway, all right, let's move on. All right, so the player jumps down, and there's like a jump animation. So then their aim pops back up where it's supposed to be, and it's right there. So this is the jump animation. They land, their sight comes up. That's the snap. If I can get it to stop here. Let me zoom in. So they jump down. This is the jump animation. And then from here to here, that's the snap. You see right where it's pointing at. Center chest right on the player skeleton. So let's move on to the next one. Players come down, and you can see right now, in the next few, you'll see the field of view setting pop up. But here you can see the player skeleton and the box around them. So the players sit there. Human in nature, human in nature, human in nature. Does that look anything like the frames before? It doesn't jive. So oftentimes it happens so quick, most people don't even stop to think about it or question it. But if you don't cheat, you're never going to see something like this occur. It's basically for people that don't cheat. They're like, did I just see something? Slow it down, look at it frame by frame. If it seems questionable, chances are it is questionable. There's just rare occurrences where freak situations happen. But for the most part, when you see stuff like this multiple times from one individual, it's a dead giveaway. So all right. So movement looks human in nature, human in nature, human in nature. All criteria get met. Bam. Single snap. All right. So we move on to the next one. Again, human in nature. Everything looks fluid. All of a sudden, all criteria are met. Bam, in one frame. It's locked on. All right, so pay attention to this one right here. You're going to see a similar situation to this in a minute. From one lucky unlucky contestant. Well, lucky or unlucky, depends on how you look at it. They're aiming in. Not all criteria have been met. So if you see this is yellow, it means that for this particular application, this one in the settings they have turned on, if the box is yellow, the player is visible. But the skeleton is not yellow yet because at the particular position on the player skeleton that they have selected to lock onto is not visible yet to the application. So and they're already within the field of view. So when all three criteria are met, this is a perfect example. Not visible, not visible. Then all of a sudden in one frame, bam, within the field of view, I can lock onto the skeleton where you specified, and you can see the player. So looks normal, looks normal, looks normal on the aim, and all of a sudden, bam, that does not look normal whatsoever. And this particular one kind of freaked out a couple times. I lost the lock. regain the lock. Yeah. So it's easy to point the stuff out once you know what you're looking for. All right, next one. This is another one that you need to pay attention to, and you'll see why here in a minute. All right, so this is another one of those, just like the last one, unavoidable situations where there's an obstruction, and the player is not paying attention very well. Maybe they're trying to debunk that they've been cheating, and they can't see their walls or any of that stuff, so they don't know. They're just setting themselves up for a trap. So this particular person lines them up. He's got them within the field of view. They're behind an obstruction. Player gets closer. As you can see, the skeleton's red, so it can't make a. You can see the player, but it can't make a lock on a skeleton where it's been specified. It's not until all three criteria are met. 2 frames. 1, 2, and it's on. So they're just kind of like strafing sideways, and all of a sudden just rips the aim from them, and it just sticks like glue from there. All right, this one is probably the most blatant one out of them all. All right, so aim seems kind of fluid, human in nature, and it just, in 1 frame, I mean, just sticks right there. All right, next one. This one they pivot back and forth a bit before they get close to him. I'm not sure. It seems like they can make the lock. It just, they don't have them on their field of view yet. I take it back. They're yellow until they get red there. All right. So again, it's kind of flat. It's human in nature, the smoothness to it, if I don't rip it away too fast. Seems human in nature on the movement. And as soon as all criteria have been met, it just, a nice diagonal snap from there. All right, another one. Player behind an obstruction. Person starts shooting. They have them lined up within their field of view, but it isn't until they poke their head out of the corner that they can now make the full lock on. Another example, I think this might be the last example. Yeah, all right, so last example here. Their aim, again, seems fluid, natural in nature. And all of a sudden, in 1 frame, it just snaps up, linear motion, doesn't look human at all, doesn't match anything in frames prior. So read the name in the background. This individual got called out by BBB. Later, Rah tried to debunk it and say, you know, it's clip manipulation. I also think, what is it, Z himself has called him, you know, clip manipulator or something. And then True Seekers came out and said that Rah took a frame out. I don't know. The bottom line is, it is an aim snap-on too, but let's look at it first. All right, so Z jumps down. Again, he's got his camera up on his thing, so if he usually does have the boxes up or whatever, he would have been able to see that, hey, I'm about to make a mistake here. But he didn't have that on because he's trying to prove that, hey, I don't use an aimbot. So he sits there, he lines up a shot, but if you look, this right here is, it'll be better image quality in the final video. But right there, it's like a rooftop AC unit, and it's a blocking part of his player, the skeleton. Right now, it's saying, hey, I see the opponent there. You can shoot them. They're visible. So 1 criteria is met. But where you specified for me to lock is not, you know, I can't make that lock because it's not accessible to me. It's not visible. The third one is field of view. So 2 of the criteria met, third one's not. And this is where he kind of set himself up for the perfect storm. So the player runs behind it as he's aiming in on him. So he makes his aim. And when you see the better quality version of the video, it looks like he aims in and he doesn't do anything. It's like his aim doesn't move at all, and I believe he's like strafing forward a little bit. Yeah, and it's like he's waiting for something to happen. It happens, but it's not what he wanted. So as soon as that player, and you'll see it in a better quality video, steps around the corner, because you can see him moving to the left, not Z, the enemy player. You can see him moving to the left, and as soon as they step around that corner and all 3 parameters are met, it says, hey, all 3 boxes are checked, I'm taking over. Takes control from him, snaps up to the player. I'm sure Z's trying to be cool, calm, and collective about it, disengages, and acts like nothing happened. The other thing to point out, and I did message BBB about this, and I said, you, Rah-Rah, and True Seekers all missed one thing, is that when he goes through and this happens, he actually captures the snap in OBS and on a screen. That's how abrupt it is. That is how unnatural the movement is. And if you've seen my how to catch streamers that are cheating video, you'll know that at 60 frames a second, it is far more pronounced than at 144, 165 hertz or better. So at 240 frames a second, recording 165 hertz monitor, it looks smooth. You saw everything there for the animation when it hijacked the control. But at 60 frames a second, it's so fast, the 60 frames a second really pronounces it. And it really makes it observable. So if you're a streamer and you're cheating, this is going to get you caught. So in the scene, yes, Z-Laner was using an aimbot. The enemy player was walking out from behind an obstruction, and only 2 criteria had been met until the player exited, walking outside of the obstruction, which was the portion on his player's skeleton that he had selected, which I believe was chest. And not enough of it was visible for the application to make the lock. Had he selected head, it would have made the lock no problem. Again, don't use these applications and you won't get caught. So that's all. I'll go through and I'll splice this up like I did the other ones to show you what you're looking for. So, deuces.